Hey everyone, Bill Sheridan with the Maryland Association of CPAs here. Happy Monday. Kicking your week off with another great CPA story. We've been interviewing members near and far in search of the purpose behind the profession, right? The why behind what CPAs do. And this week, I'm speaking with Dina Broydo. Dina is a senior manager in the data forensics practice at BDO USA. And right there, that tells you this is going to be a little bit different, right? I'm guessing forensics is not what most people think of when they think of career paths in accounting. And it just proves Dina's point that there's so much you can do in this profession that doesn't match the accounting stereotypes. In Dina's words, it opens a lot of doors. So good stuff. And Dina's story actually begins in Russia. She was born there, actually considers English her second language. I'm going to let her explain. Here is Dina Broydo with her CPA story.
I was about 3 years old when I came to America. So yeah, I grew up here. That's why you don't hear an accent or anything else.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I did all my education here, but English is my second language, technically speaking.
Okay.
I did speak Russian first,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and I,
That's
I do
great.
still maintain it. So it was
Oh, nice.
definitely one of the very first things I got to do as part of being an accountant was get to test out my Russian language
There you
skills.
go.
So
What
been
brought your
helpful
family
since.
what brought your family over here?
Um, So we're also Jewish, and so following Perestroika, my parents wanted to kind of get out of Russia, and so um, they kind of went wherever we managed to get a visa. And my uncle was out here already, so America made the most sense. But we have a ton of friends who left Russia around the same time, and they're all around the world, between Canada and Germany and Israel
Yeah.
as well. So
Nice. Well,
wherever you could go, you went.
glad to have you here. You mentioned school momentarily. Where'd you go to school again?
I went to the University of Maryland,
Okay.
Robert H. Smith School of Business.
And your title and where you work now.
Sure, I'm an experienced manager within BDO's data forensics practice.
All right. Sounds great. Now, looking back to when you were trying to decide what you wanted to do and study and go, what attracted you to accounting at the beginning?
So I actually didn't come in as an accounting major.
Okay.
Um, I actually added accounting as a second major after my first semester. Um, my background is actually in programming. I used to do web development, and after sitting in a cold, dark basement surrounded by beakers and no humans, I figured out that while programming is fun and dandy, I need human interaction. And so I
Mhm.
kind of decided to be a business major, specifically focused on information systems, data analytics, etc.
Okay.
And as part of the business curriculum, I had to take an accounting class. I had to technically take two. And so I was also somebody who really enjoyed math. And when I took my accounting class, I was like, this is the math that I miss. It's not
Mhm.
anything like super complicated, but it is something interesting. And it kind of reminds me of like building puzzles and thinking through the logic of something.
Yep.
And so at that point, I was like, well, I don't see why I shouldn't add accounting as another major. And so the rest is history, and I
There,
decided to do that.
there you are. That's fantastic. How would you describe now that you've been working in the profession for a while, the purpose or the why behind your work? I mean, what do you accomplish, I guess, by doing what you do?
Sure. So the work that I do, I'm a forensic accountant. And so it's a little different than what most people think of when they hear accounting, right? I don't do taxes.
Hmm.
Please don't ask me to do taxes. Um, it's a little bit similar to audit, just in terms of some of the procedures. But the reason I went into forensic accounting is because um, between liking data analytics, between liking accounting, I was also always interested in like the ethics piece of
Hmm.
things. And so my why, particularly in my work, is really understanding what motivates people, what drives people, whether that is to commit fraudulent actions or to actually do what is morally right, right?
Hmm.
And how do people think through that work? And so, coming from a coming from Russia, where when you try to explain the concept of whistleblowing or compliance ethics, it becomes big question marks sometimes. It was really interesting just getting to see that within, an American and Western mindset, and also thinking about, how are the drivers between cultures and people different as well. So I guess my big why is really just helping people, helping companies, because the part of my job that I like to focus on is the proactive compliance side. How do
Hmm.
you build a program that works? How do
Right.
you help motivate your employees to do the right thing or act properly? And so that's the piece that is really the why behind
Well,
what
and
I do.
that's great, and um, different from a lot of the other answers that I've gotten so far, but in a really good way, I think, because for a profession that kind of touts itself as the trusted business advisor,
Yeah.
that type of thing that you're describing, I think, kind of tends to get lost in the shuffle when we talk about accounting and finance, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fascinating. Most gratifying. What inspires you about your work? What do you find most gratifying about doing what you do?
I like interacting with people.
Hmm.
And so going out to the client and understanding what's going on in their business, helping them think through their processes, I find that really gratifying. I just like working with people and understanding them and what drives them and motivates them and just what is important to them, right? When you're operating at the C-suite level, what are the drivers of your business and how do you get people to understand how they fit into that big puzzle? So I think that's really the part that I enjoy the most, that feels most gratifying to me when it comes to this work.
That's great.
I mean, outside of the fact that you get crazy stories of just like people doing these crazy things and you being able to catch them, I would like people to do less fraudulent things and make me less paranoid, but if we can help not only detect it but prevent it from happening.
Any like Reader's Digest versions of really good ones that you could share at this point? Like what's something that kind of sticks out in your mind is
I mean, we had a case recently where we were looking at a woman who basically defrauded a nonprofit organization focused on education, and she literally just like took their bank account and used it to go to casinos and open up her own like psychic business and
um,
spa services in her house, right? Like, okay, so in those types of moments, I can't prevent it from happening, but we can make sure that we recover the money. We can make sure that that person doesn't do that again. Like,
right. And serves
it,
as kind of a cautionary tale for others who might
yeah.
be. That's just crazy stuff. And I'm sure you've seen more than your share of that. If you were like sitting across from a high school or college student, someone who's kind of struggling to figure out where they want to go, what they want to study, where their life is going to take them. I mean, what would you tell them about accounting?
I think there's a lot that you can do with accounting that most people don't think about. I think it opens a lot of doors for people. And keep, I, I would say in general, keep an open mind when it comes to what you can do. Because as I said, like there's a lot of different experiences you can have. Even within my own company, right? I sit in forensics, but our forensics department does things like crisis management. What
Mm-hmm.
happens? Do you, as a company, understand what happens and what policies you have in place if there's a bomb threat?
Mm-hmm.
That's not something you think about when you go into accounting, that you could be doing something like that, or change management, or thinking about business and insurance claims. So, keeping an open mind about what you want to do, I would definitely advise people to think about. And uh, the other thing I like to say when it comes to thinking about just future and job is work is work for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think of work as an optimization problem where there'll always be things that you like and things that you don't like.
Right.
And so, how do you optimize the things that you do enjoy and minimize the things that you don't? And I think, given the broad skill set of um, accountants in general, there's a lot of different ways for you to find jobs and opportunities for you to be able to optimize that equation, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I'm not a tax accountant. So for me, I would not want to do that consistently. But, sometimes I do have to look at tax sheets, right? And
Mhm.
be able to say, this person, why do they have X amount of income on their tax statement when, I know that they're not making this much money working at this nonprofit. So
Mhm.
just because I have to deal with tax sheets doesn't necessarily mean that I'm doing that consistently. And so I think
Right.
given that broad range of skills that accounting gives you, there's a lot of different ways for you to find the things that you actually want to do and want to try out and be able to test them because in the end, most people got to try things out before you actually say you don't like it.
Yeah.
And so with an accounting background, I think given all the open doors, there's a lot more things you can try.
Great stuff there from Dina Broydo. So glad she could take time out of her busy schedule to be here with us today. And we want to hear from you as well. So head on over to macpa.org/Y and share your story with us as we try to offer a little bit of inspiration for the next generation of accounting and finance professionals. We want to hear what your CPA purpose is as well. So help us out there. And thanks for being here. Hope you have a great week. We'll be back again next week. More stories to share then. Until then, as I said, have a great week. Take care, everyone.